it's Cass. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with a really special video because I'm here with a super exciting announcement, and that is we are back with round 2 of the One Readathon to rule them all, the all fantasy readathon here on BookTube. And I have been asked to be one of the co-hosts. This is so exciting. The last time around the One Readathon to rule them all came around, I created a TBR for it, and then I completely bombed on the readathon. So this is my own personal chance for redemption, but I'm so excited because I'm here, I am back, and I am one of the co-hosts. So this readathon is an all fantasy readathon. It was created by Ashley from Don't Have a Degree in Reading, and the co-hosts are James from James Chatham, Shelby from Read and Find Out, myself from What Cass Read, Jocelyn from Yogi with a Book, Chris from Chris Bookish Cauldron, Zoe from You're a Book Nerd Zoe, and Brandy from Brandy's Books. All their channels are going to be linked down below for you, so please check them out. I'm a huge fan of all of them, and I'm so excited to, again, be a part of this crew as we host this readathon. Now, the One Readathon to rule them all, the All Fantasy Readathon, is going to be taking place this month. It's a shorter readathon, so it's from November 18th to December 1st. So we're going to catch you at the very end of November. We have a couple of holiday days built in there, at least in the United States, so at least some of you will be able to get some really good reading done towards the end of the month. There's also going to be a Twitter account. If you're not already following it, it was created during the last round of the readathon. It's at the One Readathon on Twitter, and myself as well as the other co-hosts are going to be on there, going to be hosting some sprints for everybody, so it's going to be a really good time over there if you're a social media user on Twitter. So now let's get to the good stuff, the challenges. Since this is an all fantasy readathon titled the One Readathon to rule them all, Ashley has gone a little bit different with this round of the readathon, and she is making it a Lord of the Rings themed challenge where you must bring the ring to Mordor. Fairly simple. And what does that mean? There are going to be 4 different routes that you can take as a reader with different challenges along each different route for you to bring the ring to Mordor. If you're not someone who's read any of the Lord of the Rings books, that's totally fine because these challenges are not related to that. These challenges are going to be named after some of the different locations in Middle-earth, and you can follow some of the pre-made routes for you to bring the ring to Mordor, or you can create one for yourself if you're really ambitious, or if you like to have a little bit of flexibility in your readathon. The rules, you can double, triple, even quadruple up on challenges. We're not going to limit you with that. You can also read in any form, audiobooks, graphic novels, they're totally allowed, and it can be any form of fantasy. Urban fantasy, traditional fantasy, high fantasy, magical realism is totally acceptable. All types of fantasy are going to be welcome in this readathon. So the first challenge is the Shire, and that's just to reread a favorite fantasy book. The second challenge is called Bree, and that's to read a fantasy book in a non-European setting. Number 3 is Fangorn Forest. That's to read a fantasy book with magical or supernatural creatures. Next up we have Rivendell, and that's to read a book with LGBTQIA+ rep, and that can be the author, that can be a point of view character, that could be the main character. The next stop is Moria, and that's to read a grim, dark fantasy or a book with spooky elements. We also have Lorien, and that's to read a fantasy book published by an indie publisher, not one of the big 5. Next up we have Isengard, and that's to read a book with a villain as the main character or as one of the point of views, and morally gray characters are also acceptable. We also have Helm's Deep, and that's to read a book that is a standalone. Rohan is one of the stops, and that's to read a fantasy book with a female main character. Gondor is our next stop, and that's to read a fantasy book with POC representation, and that can also be the author, main character, or another point of view character. We have Minas Tirith, which is just to read a fantasy book. And finally, Mordor, our final stop, is to read the conclusion to a fantasy series. Standalones can count for that, and the most recent installment in a series as well. So again, I'm going to have all of those challenges listed below, as well as the 4 different routes that you can take, so that way you can bring the ring to Mordor. So once again, I'm super excited to be one of the co-hosts for this readathon, and I hope you'll join us. It's a short readathon. There's going to be some really fun challenges, like I said, some really fun sprints on the Twitter page if you follow us there. We just can't wait to interact with you and get our fantasy reading on. Also, if you check out Ashley's announcement, word on the street is that she's gonna dress up as Bilbo Baggins for this announcement video, and I think that is adorable. If you wanna follow me and find out what I'm up to, I'm on Twitter and Instagram. It's at WhatCastRead. It's the same as this channel, so it's super easy to find. You can also find my Goodreads link down below, so that way you can see what I've picked, what I'm gonna be reading. You can see the star ratings that I'm going to give to them before I even get to my wrap-up videos and all that good stuff. And you can find my TBR video going to be up later this month as we get closer to the readathon. Otherwise, you guys know how these videos end. I'll talk to you later. Bye.